The Cursed Doll Robert is a doll given to a child named Robert Eugene Otto by a household helper in 1906. Calling it a doll might not be entirely accurate. It's about a meter tall, and rumor has it that it's cursed. Anyone who owns or even comes near the doll is said to attract disasters. Additionally, the doll is currently 114 years old. The story is somewhat sad and somewhat chilling. Of course, in the late 1800s, a wealthy woman, for months pregnant, sent her husband to the Bahamas to find a helper, essentially a slave, to take care of the baby and the household chores. However, months passed, and the husband didn't return. The journey took longer than expected. When he returned, he brought back a pregnant woman, and you can probably guess who the father of the baby might be. Of course, the lady of the house figures it out and imprisons the poor Bahamian woman in a tiny shack in their garden. It's said that this shack is only a place where garden tools are kept, so there's no bed or place to sit inside. The woman is locked up here for months, given only bread and water once a day during this horrible torture. Months later, when the woman's baby is born, it only lives for 2 months and dies due to inadequate nutrition and poor living conditions. Rumors also suggest that the lady of the house not only mistreated this woman, but also other servants of the Otto family, subjecting them to terrible torment. Furthermore, this poor woman, after losing her baby, is forced to take care of the lady of the house's newborn baby. Now, you might immediately think that the woman would seek revenge and mistreat the baby, right? However, contrary to expectations, the woman becomes attached to the baby, cares for it in every way, breastfeeds it, and raises it as her own. The baby's name is Robert Eugene Otto. Some time passes. Things seem to be going well, and everything seems to have been forgotten. On a moonlit day, the lady of the house goes for a walk in the garden and hears music coming from the back of the garden where the servants stay. She wants to see what's going on. As she moves towards the direction of the music, she hears them singing in an unfamiliar language and sees the servants dancing. When she gets close enough, this dance is said to be a kind of Haiti voodoo dance. In fact, this dance is a kind of ceremony. Those interested in black magic perform it, and there are rituals such as sacrificing animals involved. The lady of the house starts watching the dancing servants. At that moment, she sees 4 of them simultaneously slaughtering a live chicken. She is terrified, shocked, and disgusted. The next morning, she decides to send everyone back to the Bahamas. The maid who takes care of Robert begs and pleads with the lady of the house not to separate her from Robert, but to no avail. The young woman has already made her decision, reluctantly preparing to leave. The maid gives Robert a toy doll just before leaving. This doll is about a meter tall, dressed in children's clothes, filled with straw, and has button eyes. Robert and the toy doll's friendship. After the Bahamians returned to their own country, leaving Robert Eugene Otto alone on the island, this little boy's only friend was doll Robert. The young boy spent all his days with it. In fact, there were quite a few people who saw him talking to the doll on the street, but it didn't stop there. Strange, inexplicable events began to occur in the house after the Bahamians left. Objects started moving on their own, breaking into pieces, and even disappearing. The mother blamed the child for all these incidents, constantly yelling at and scolding him. The child kept insisting that it wasn't him who did these things, but the toy doll, Robert. Meanwhile, Robert Eugene Otto definitely did not want to be called Robert anymore and preferred the use of his middle name, Eugene, because Robert was now the name of the toy doll. According to legend, the aunt who lived with them in their house noticed the strange relationship between the two and tried to separate Eugene from the doll. One day, she locked doll Robert in a closet, and after this incident, the woman was found dead in the house, apparently drowned. Her death remained a mystery. She was healthy, lively, and had no issues whatsoever. No one knew why or how she died. Years passed, and Robert Eugene Otto turned 19. However, he couldn't part with the toy doll. He still took it with him wherever he went, never leaving its side. It was as if somehow the child and the doll were connected. The family eventually decided to move to France, and in order to rid themselves of their child's strange behavior, they locked the toy doll, aka Robert, in a closet in the attic, stepping into a very different life in France. Robert Eugene Otto continued his career as an artist and married a beautiful woman named Anne. As a wedding gift, his family gave the newlywed couple the huge mansion where Robert grew up. Eugene and his wife settled into their new home one day, and aware that the toy doll was there, Eugene went up to the attic and found the toy doll Robert, and suddenly began to behave like that little child years ago. He was constantly carrying the toy doll with him and talking to it. His wife was quite disturbed by this situation. She insisted that they needed to get rid of the doll, and one day she locked it in a room on the upper floor of the house. However, things took an incomprehensible turn after that. Eugene, who was quite aggressive, would have fits of anger from time to time, breaking and smashing household items. He even attempted to hit his wife once. According to rumors, while Anne was looking into the small shed in the garden, Eugene locked her in there and remained trapped in that rundown shed for a full 3 days, just like the torture inflicted on the Bahamian nanny who raised Eugene. Years passed, yet Eugene's behavior remained unchanged, even worsening. Eugene had instructed a living space in the upper room for the doll Robert, bringing in many items such as a couch, bed, carpet, and table. According to his wife, sometimes Eugene would plead with the doll not to harm him. Some neighbors claimed to have seen the doll moving in the room at night. There were also reports of laughter and footsteps heard in the house, especially at night. In 1974, Eugene was found dead in the upper room of the mansion. Doll Robert was found lifeless on top of Eugene after her husband's death, and put the house up for sale and moved back to France herself. She left doll Robert to the mansion. Sometime later, a family who moved into the mansion found doll Robert in the room one midnight, holding a large knife. The strange events in this house spread from mouth to mouth over time. A journalist who heard about doll Robert came to visit Robert Eugene Otto's former home, and according to him, when the doll was around, it seemed to be aware of everything happening around it. It was as if it was listening to everyone day and night. The journalist even claimed that the doll's facial expression changed according to the mood of the room. The continuing curse in the museum. The journalist gave the doll to the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. This toy doll began to be exhibited in the museum in a glass case. It was the first year at the museum. One morning, the staff found everything in chaos, and the other items in the room where the doll was displayed were smashed. However, nothing had happened to doll Robert. Only the glass case door was open, and there were unknown dust particles on Robert's pant legs. What was even stranger was that one of his shoes was found in another corner of the museum, also covered in dust.